It's nice to meet with you again in our 10th lecture. Today's lecture is also a continuation of what we started last time. Last time we started with three short stories for children, which were The Sleeping Beauty, Snowdrop and the Seven Little Dwarfs, and The Goose Girl. Today we start a new, two new short stories for children. The first one, as you see here, Babes in the Woods. Another, story for children, a very interesting, short story for children, and it's sort of a tale, of two children abandoned in the wood, by their, uncle, and this, it starts as usual, as other, tales, for children, not at a specific time, once upon a time, and then starts with, talking about, children, the characters of the story with no specific names, and about places that are not also specific. So Babes in the Wood, about parents who had two little children, and they were about to die, and before death they asked their brother to take care of the two children, and this uncle promised to keep to take good care of the children. And after the death of the parents, he was sort of a greedy person, so he decided to take the wealth of the ladies and to get rid of them first. So he gave them to robbers, and to kill them, and the robbers decided not to kill the two little children, so they left them, and they were about to fight with each other whether to kill or not to kill the children. But then while fighting with each other, the babes, the two little children, escaped, or escaped far away, and then they were alone in the woods, and they were heartbroken. They were just here, as you see, part of having magic things and tales. Two little birds heard them crying, and they began to sing for them. And the little babes, or these children, two little children, died in the wood, and the birds started covering them with branches of trees, and kind of leaves of trees of all kinds, beautiful kinds. And then they were sort of an angel, our angels took them back to heavens, and to join their mother. Okay, that is just a quick brief of Babes in the Wood. And as you see here, it's a traditional tale. So some just one page, one slide of discussion about this short story, said here as it is a traditional children's tale. This traditional tale, first published, as an anonymous, without a specific name of the publisher, Broadside Ballad, printed by, Thomas Millington in Norwich in 1595. The ballad tells of two small children. Okay, this is also another, brief summary of the story. Here something to remember, that the tale has been reworked and in many forms it frequently appears attributed as a Mother Goose rhyme. Okay, this is all here an important piece of information, that the tale has been reworked in many forms. It frequently appears attributed as a Mother Goose rhyme. Okay, this again, you think of the theme and the moral lessons that we learn from this short story, okay, from this short tale. Okay, the tale has some figures of speech that you may see as the first page. If we have a look at the third page, third paragraph on this slide, اللي هو first slide, first page of the tale here, where it says they wandered on and on until they became so tired and hungry that at length they sat down at the foot of a tree. Okay, they sat down at the foot of a tree. Here, at the foot of a tree, is a figure of a speech. Okay, at a foot of of a tree is a figure of speech, which is what? It's a kind of personification. Okay, so we have to remember, examples of figures of speech like this one in any story. Okay, and cried as if their heart would break. And cried as if their heart would break. The little birds here, heard them and began to trill sweet lullabies. Okay, here there is another figure of speech, اللي هو having the birds, hearing the two little children, and they sang for them. So this is also another example of a personification. Okay, the next story here, the Queen the Queen Bee. Okay, the Queen Bee is another story about three brothers. Two of them were searching for adventures, and they lived their city and their palace, looking for adventures, and while they were looking for adventures, the two of them went set off for adventures, went in search of adventures, and at length they found, they mocked the youngest brother, who called Simbleston, went, after some time, when these two brothers, set off for, adventures, the father, the king, sent their third, brother, who was called Simbleston, to look for them. Okay. And then when he found them, they were, making fun of him, and they mocked him. They used to laugh at him because he was a good, guy. He was a good person with good characteristics and simple person who did not have any intention to hurt, anybody, even, little creatures or animals. So on the way back, the three of them, traveled back, to their city, and every time, in, let's say, 3 occasions, every time, they come to, let's say, first time they come to an ant hill, and the two brothers, the two elder brothers, wanted to destroy this ant hill. So their little younger, their younger brother Simbleston did not let them do that. Again, on the way to, on the way back home, they also came to a lake with a great number of ducks. These ducks were swimming. The two brothers also wanted to catch a couple of these ducks and kill them and roast them. But Simbleston also forbade them, and did not let them do so. And and the third time, they came, to a bee nest, and they wanted also to destroy that nest. and make a fire beneath the tree where the bee's nest, you know, is located. So, but to just bother and suffocate the bees and to bother them, but you know, Simpleton, their younger brother, stopped them from doing that, and you know, asked them to leave these creatures, you know, alone and leave them in peace. Okay. So at length, you know, the three brothers, you know, arrived at a castle where stone horses were standing in the stable, and no human being was to be seen as they went, you know, through all the halls until quite at the end, you know, they came to a door in which were three locks. In the middle of the door, however, there was a little pane, an opening through which they could see into the room, and they saw a little gray man, okay, who was sitting at a table, and they called him once, twice, but he did not hear. At last, you know, they called him for the third time. And when he got up, he opened the locks, and he came out, and he said nothing. However, you know, but you know, conducted them to a handsomely spread table, and when they had eaten and drank, he took each of them to a bedroom. And on next morning, the little gray man came to the eldest, beckoned him and conducted him to a stone table on which, you know, there were inscribed, you know, three tasks. So they were asked to do three things, and you know, and that was, you know, just to make, you know, to make the story shorter. He asked them to collect, you know, pears, you know, more than 200 pears, and that was changed, made them change to stone. So he asked them to collect, you know, the 200 pairs, and it had to be a full, complete number, you know, to be exactly the same, to bring back all of these pears, so you know, these people, you know, can change into normal or real people after, you know, being changed into stones. Okay, so there were three tasks that they had to do. Okay, one of them is that to fetch out of the lake, you know, a key of the king's daughter's bed, and the third was the most difficult, which is amongst the three sleeping daughters of the king, was the youngest and dearest to be sought out. Okay. Then the queen of the bees, you know, because, you know, they had a very hard time to do that. Then, you know, for being, you know, nice and kind, you know, with you know, a kind-hearted person, Simpleton was, you know, helped by the queen of the bees, you know, and she, you know, helped him, and you know, bring tasted lips of all the three. At last, you know, she remained sitting on the mouth which had eaten honey, that the king's son recognized the right princess. He could recognize the right princess by the help of the bee when she put, you know, a drop of honey on her lips. You know, at the end of this story, you know, the three princes, or these three brothers, the Simpleton and the other two brothers, they lived happily, and they married the princesses. And you know, Simpleton, you know, was married to the youngest and to the most beautiful of the princesses. Okay, this is another, you know, lovely story for children, and you know, it's a kind of a fairy tale, German fairy tale, and it is, you know, collected by brothers Grimm. And again, here I remind you with the that you have to know and remember for the exam the type of the story as a fairy tale or a folk tale, okay, or as a poem or an epic or whatever is the work. You have to remember the type of the work that you are reading. Then the author, the writer, or the collector, as here what we have, the Queen Bee is a German fairy tale, and it was collected by brothers Grimm. The Queen Bee is an updated retelling of the fairy tale about seeking fortune. So it's a story about seeking fortune, breaking a spell, and discovering the identity of the real prince with the help of the ants, ducks, and regal Queen Bee. So as you see, because Simpleton, the youngest brother, was very kind to these creatures, to the animals. These animals, of course, they kept that favor, and when Simpleton needed them, they came and helped him in, achieving the tasks, and then saving the princesses, the king's daughters. The story, of course, has moral lessons, and it teaches some basic, profound lessons, which some of these lessons, it blends classic fairy tale magic with modern ideas, while still allowing the girl most deserving of praise to marry her fairy tale prince. The book also has a nice reversal of roles, with the heroine saving the enchantment prince. Gwen receives her just reward, not because she is the most beautiful girl in the land, but because she is genuinely good, intelligent, and respectful of her fellow creature. Okay, sometimes here, if you have names or some actions, some events that are added or not already mentioned in the text you have, that means here you may have some information about a different version. So, but you don't worry about any piece of information or any note that is not related to the text that you have in hand. So, if the comment or the notice you have is not related to the text you have, so that means it's not important for you. But at least to know something extra about the tale, and to know that most of these tales that we are reading for children, they are being rewritten and collected by different people and translated by different people. So and every time they were being retold, rewritten, or collected by different people, they were changed. This is the timeless folk tale of a young prince who undoes the terrible spell on a castle by accomplishing 3 impossible tasks with the help of some small creatures he saved from cruelty, like the ant, the duck, and the bee. Yet the impossible becomes here another good moral lesson. The impossible becomes possible. The impossible becomes possible with the help of small creatures he rescued from torment. Which is a very good moral lesson for children to teach. That little creatures can be of a lot of use for big people, or for great people. If you are good to small creatures, to animals, they'll be once good for you, and they can be of a lot of help for you. Okay, that is the end of this story. And then for this story, there's something extra. Here we have a list of vocabulary that are included in this story and this tale. So you need to know, please, the meaning of each of these words. Of course, in English you might be asked about meanings of words, okay, just to keep in mind. Okay, as you see here, you have wasteful, and then I don't need to read. You can read them by yourselves. And of course, remember that you need to know the meanings of these words in English. Okay. Again, we meet very soon in other lectures, and inshallah in the next live session we'll have a lot of things to discuss about the final exam and what is really important and what is really not important. Okay, thank you very much for today, and that's all for this lecture. Please you contact me anytime through my email, okay, if there are any questions, any comments. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.